Next on Worcester News Tonight, the city's preliminary election is Tuesday, and tonight candidates are encouraging people to get out and vote. Plus, a Worcester police canine is recovering after a violent encounter with a suspect. We're learning more tonight about the moments leading up to the incident. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. We're just hours from the polls opening for Worcester's preliminary election. More than 24 candidates are running for the school committee and for city council. Tonight, the candidates are working up until the last minute to encourage people to go out and vote. Our Cam Jandros in Worcester tonight with those details. Cam?
Yeah, Anna, the field for city councilor at large is going from 15 candidates down to 12 after tomorrow. The election commission says they can't remember the last time there was an election with so many different people running for office. I caught up with a few of those candidates earlier today, and they say they're anxious as well as excited for tomorrow. Tony Economou is trying to get back on the Worcester City Council after stepping away from his district seat almost 2 years ago. The former District 1 councillor says he misses being in public office.
Yeah, I missed dealing with the people, I missed helping the people, and I missed working for the city that I grew up in and working in myself.
This time, Economou is running for an at-large city council seat.
One of the top priorities, even when I was a district councilor, was our parks. On top of that, our schools. We need to have good schools with top-of-the-line amenities for our kids.
Economou isn't the only challenger with experience on the ballot this year. Former school committee member Donna Calorio is in the at-large race, saying keeping down property taxes for residents is one of her motivations.
I'm going to side on the residential side, and that was what inspired me to stand up for the residents of Worcester, the working class.
Calorio's former colleague on the school committee, Molly McCullough, spent Monday evening standing out with her campaign signs. McCullough is seeking her third term.
My number one priority right now is for us to follow the strategic plan. It was a plan that was developed by stakeholders. It's really our roadmap.
On the opposite end of the spectrum is James Leo Bedard, who's seeking an at-large seat for the first time.
As a behavior therapist and really getting results for people on a one-on-one level. So being a city councilor is a natural extension of that work.
Now, hours before polls open, candidates are hoping their voters go out Tuesday.
So my work has really just begun as far as a school committee member. I believe there's a lot that we have to do to continue to make our schools even better.
We need to include everyone in making sure that we're lifting all of our neighbors up.
I hope to earn your vote tomorrow.
Now, if you're looking to go out and vote tomorrow, you have from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. to go to the polls that are assigned to you. In Worcester, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
The city's election commission is hoping for a larger voter turnout at the polls Tuesday. In the last citywide preliminary in 2015, only 11% of registered voters cast ballots. The assistant city clerk says these elections are not very common. The school committee hasn't had a preliminary in decades, but the city hopes the upcoming presidential primaries in 2020 inspire people to vote locally.
But we can only hope, right? If we have a good turnout in September, that would probably be a good sign for the November election as well. But we are coming up with a busy election season because we also have the presidential primaries in March, so it's going to be an interesting time for election officials throughout the country.
There are more than 50 polling sites throughout the city of Worcester. You can find a location closest to you on the city's website. The building committee votes on the next phase on the preliminary design for the Doherty High School project. Tonight's vote forwarded the following ideas: bringing Doherty up to code, adding an addition and renovation, rebuilding on the current site of the school, building on the Chandler Magnet land with additional lands from Worcester State University, and building at Foley Stadium and possibly acquiring more land. Lamoureux Pagano Associates President Catherine Crockett says this is a major capital project for the city.
Designing a school that will be in existence for at least 50 years and a really iconic location in the city in terms of the Doherty quadrant and the future of the city that's going through great momentum at this point.
Construction will not start until late 2021, and students won't start using the school until 2024. An area high school student is making changes at his school to promote mental health awareness. He wants his fellow classmates to know if they're struggling, help is available. Our Erin Keating has the details. Erin?
Anna, St. John's students are starting the new school year with new student ID cards. It's all part of an initiative which began with a student. Carson Domi is a good student, but his biggest accomplishment is on the back of his new St. John's ID card.
They just saw the email and they're like, wait, what, you did that? I'm like, yeah, I mean.
The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is now on every student ID at the high school. A friend of Domi's died from suicide last December. He wants his classmates to know there is always someone to talk to.
And if it's someone that you really don't want to know, they have hotlines such as the ones that we're putting on the back of ID cards.
The sophomore reached out to the school's administration earlier this summer about putting the phone number on the back of student IDs. He says the initiative reminded him of St. John's mission.
A big piece of the education here at St. John's is that the school focuses on the entire student, and that includes mental health.
Domi also spent his summer interning at the State House. While working with legislators, he discovered a proposed Senate bill to require public and private high schools to have the lifeline on the back of the ID cards.
Especially in an institution such as St. John's that welcomes change and change proposed by students, I figured, why don't I bring this to my school?
Headmaster Alex Zakara says St. John's is always looking for new ways to be on top of issues. And when Domi's proposal reached his desk, he said yes right away.
You know, I think especially in 2019, it's extremely important for all schools, and St. John's included, to really pay attention to mental, social, emotional health of our students.
Domi says although he hopes no one will need the number, he is proud of the initiative the school has taken.
Who knows? Hopefully someone will never have to use it, but it's one of those things that it's still good for the school to provide another resource like that.
Domi hopes to one day be back at the State House. He'd like to run for office in the future. In studio, Erin Keating, Worcester News Tonight.
The Department of Justice is suing a Worcester landlord. They say he sexually harassed female tenants. The suit alleges Mohan Prashad violated the Federal Fair Housing Act with incidents dating back to 2009. The suit also names David Basaw, a registered Level 3 sex offender who's worked for Prashad since at least 2014. He's also accused of harassing and assaulting female tenants. The lawsuit seeks monetary damages for the victims, civil penalties, and a court order bearing future discrimination. This is the 11th lawsuit the DPJ has filed alleging a pattern or practice of sexual assault since launching its sexual harassment and housing initiative in 2017. Auburn police respond to a fatal shooting incident at the New World Van Lines warehouse. Police say one man is dead. He suffered an injury to his chest. According to Fire Chief Stephen Coleman, there was no threat to the public. The Worcester County District Attorney's Office is investigating. Worcester police are also investigating a fatal shooting. Police aren't releasing the name of the victim, but say he was a 37-year-old man. He was rushed to the hospital Saturday night, where he was later pronounced dead. Police don't believe the shooting was random. They are asking anyone with information to contact them. A Worcester police K-9 is recovering after a violent incident with a suspect. The man police say is responsible is undergoing an evaluation to see if he's competent to stand trial. Our Chandler Walsh has the details.
It's unacceptable.
Bus riders in Worcester react to an incident which left a police K-9 with stab wounds to the head.
I don't like animal cruelty. I love all animals. I think it's terrible. It's terrible.
Worcester police say 41-year-old Joseph Perez was threatening to stab bus drivers and set them on fire at the WRTA transportation hub Saturday afternoon.
He ended up going into some bushes and kind of barricading himself in there, saying he was going to stab anyone who came in.
K-9 Beebs, seen here with his trainer, Officer Dan Pinellatore, attempted to capture Perez. The man stabbed Beebs in the head multiple times with a screwdriver. Lieutenant Sean Murtha says the K-9 was treated at the hospital and is home recovering with Officer Pinellatore.
He was not hurt, but obviously they get very close to their dogs, so it's a stressful experience for him. But he'll be back too. He did a great job, did everything like he was supposed to during the incident.
Riders at the hub Monday say no one deserves to be threatened like the bus drivers were.
Nobody should be getting threatened, especially at their job.
The elderly, and other people need them drivers because that's a community service.
Wayne Fields has a service dog to help him get around the city. He says hearing what happened to Biebs makes him think of his own working dog.
They're just as good as the guide dogs. Yeah, the canine dogs, they do a heck of a lot, and people don't give them the credit that they need.
Biebs is one of 6 Worcester canines and has been with the department for more than 2 years. Lieutenant Murtha expects he'll be back to work in a few weeks.
Instead of a knife, it was a screwdriver he was stabbing him with, so it could have been worse in terms of cuts and the like, but he was stabbing him as hard as he could.
Perez is facing multiple charges, including animal cruelty and armed assault with intent to murder. He was arraigned today, ordered held without bail, and will undergo mental evaluation at Bridgewater State Hospital. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Fire District 7 is getting a new training facility thanks to a federal grant. The town of Auburn received more than $400,000 to fund the project. The district has outgrown the training building they use now. The new one will have multiple stories and burn rooms. Auburn Fire says it will provide realistic training for their firefighters. District 7 includes 11 communities in southern Worcester County.